fuck out of bed, bitch. Go.
All right, so we're looking at the Bitcoin chart, and Bitcoin does have a slight pullback. Exactly as Sheldino the sniper predicted. But it's not the technical data, it's not the chart data that's interesting this hour. It is the on-chain metrics. And let me tell you that today we have found, and we are going to expose. We're going to expose, yeah? So we have found, and we're going to expose one of the biggest whale purchases in the history of Bitcoin. There are only possibly 5 entities that could have bought this much Bitcoin. And that is what we're going to be talking about today on a huge show. Huge. Freddie, why aren't you wearing the headset? So too busy to put it on. Wow. All right, welcome back, guys. Welcome back to Crypto Banter. For those of you who are new to our channel, get the fuck out of bed. Let's go. Welcome to Crypto Banter. This is the biggest family in the crypto universe. We love our family, the most loyal crypto community in the world, and we've done this through this technical and fundamental magic that we put together twice, and now 3 and 4 times a day. And that's why I say we now have a new show. So for those of you who are time-starved, for those of you who don't have time to watch a 30-minute show of me talking shit, there is a shorter microdose. It's like a 10-minute show of me talking shit. So instead of 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 50 minutes, and I am trying to get it shorter, I promise. We're now talking about a 10-minute microdose of crypto content. And it's your daily fix of crypto content. And I guarantee you that if you do listen to microdose, you're not going to get any side effects. There are no side effects to that microdose. So really worth it, or no negative side effects. So welcome, subscribe to our channel, like this content, because that not only gets you into the sniper school or the crypto school entries, but also we're giving away a whole lot of these lonely aliens. And we gave away, which one did we give away? We gave away 7740, right? Okay, so Alien Worlds is Lonely Alien Space Club is an NFT collection. And we are giving away 10, or now 9, of these NFTs right here on the show to our community. If you want an NFT, all you need to do is subscribe, comment, like, and we're going to give them away to the live chats, and we're going to give them away to people after the chat, right? Otherwise, it's not fair. Some people are at work. We have to be considerate to the people that still have jobs.
What if Raj gives one away for us today?
We do. We have the founder of Solana coming on today. Maybe he'll give one of these away. Yeah, he's already here. Amazing. Okay, so Raj will give one of these away later on in the show today. We gave away 7740 earlier today, which was Freddie. So for those of you who didn't watch the show earlier, that's the Freddie Lonely Alien. That's Freddie. That's what Freddie looks like. 999455, which is this one over here. That's Sheldon. That's what Sheldon looks like. And then that's me. So 5261 is me. Let us know which one we should give away in the comments today. Obviously, we can't give away 7740 because 7740 is now taken. Gone, finished. Forget about 7740. Forget about it. That is Fred. It's gone. Okay. Also, remember, we are looking for producers. So if you've been wanting to get out of your job or to get into crypto full time, this may be the opportunity for you. We are looking for people to work like Fred and to create shows, to drive the shows, to drive social content, to drive engagement. So if you've got this knack for finding the best stories, for working with the best researchers, and you want to join the Banter family on a full-time basis, then this is exactly the role for you. If you are that person and you don't need any previous experience in production, just previous experience in loving crypto, you can join us by mailing build at cryptobanter.com. Why don't we have that like beautiful thing that we used to have? We had one, right? There we go. So build at cryptobanter.com. If that's you, then join us. Also, one last thing. Tomorrow, remember, it's Wednesday, and so we're starting Sheldon's shows 1 hour earlier. So it's now 5 a.m. EST. From tomorrow, Sheldon's show 1 hour earlier, 5 a.m. EST. If you're a subscriber and you hit the bell button, and then it says all notifications, right? So simple, all notifications, then you will know what time we're starting because you'll get a notification. So hit that subscribe button and get a notification. Also, if you hit the notification, then you'll know when microdose is coming, because I haven't told you what time microdose is coming. And there are two stories that we're only breaking on the next stream, on microdose, right? Okay, cool. Let's quickly look at the charts to see if anything's changed since the last show, and then we'll get into the big story of the day, which is about the on-chain data and this big whale buying Bitcoin. Shell.
Yo, what's up?
No. How goes?
Good. How are you, buddy? I see Cardano is the only one that's going absolutely quite crazy. Nice little pump. Good pump.
We did say that August is Cardano month. We did say this about 4 days ago. We said August is Cardano month. You need to look at Cardano. You need to look at
crazy. Because Bitcoin's still been, so Bitcoin's still obviously been coming down a lot. So for those on Cardano, if you have, obviously we're waiting for a little bit of a lower entry, but this is a clear breakout right now. It is possible, obviously, maybe Bitcoin does go another 5% lower. Maybe we come down to our zone, so still keep that 120, 125 zone open. But if not, I'm catching an entry at 1.3. Just a retest of this little pump and then the continuation. So that's pretty much the main breakout for now. And obviously Bitcoin, there is one thing, as it's, I don't know about you, Ren, but damn, I missed the bulls, buddy, because now we are fighting the other one where a month ago we were saying we're bearish. Are we going to keep following? Now we're going to say, are we going to keep pumping? Where do I buy? How do I get back in? So now we're fighting a whole different.
I love this.
We're fighting a different market now, and everyone thinks remember, bear market, you have different rules, different setup. A bull market is a whole other game. You're still going to have to learn. You're still going to have to be very dedicated through this, because this market gets crazy very, very quickly. So Bitcoin, same thing. Just keep this trend line in mind, guys. Put it there on the 1 hour as we make our way downwards.
Take me, forget about Bitcoin. Take me to Solana. I just want to see Cardano and I want to see Solana. Those are my two favorites.
What is our soul doing?
More Solana, but don't tell Raj. Do not tell Raj that I said Solana is my favorite. Do not tell him.
This is good. So looking at Solana, obviously it was this big daily trend. So this was good. Great retest and a great buy. So these are very good areas for Solana. Definitely here, because obviously having a look. Next resistance 42, 46, and then obviously the all-time high. So both looking good.
All right, so let's look at Bitcoin one last time. Still looks relatively healthy. Volume, I saw volume. Look at the volume chart on Bitcoin, which I saw this morning.
Well, volume, we need it now. So if we can get a pin drop candle and we can see this volume obviously increase and beat this average we've been and break the trend, it's going to go. And it's going to go try again for those highs again. Remember, we've got this main trend. And this is why through these times, even if we break at any point, break that daily trend, I really see that 45 to the 50 zone quickly. But obviously if we break, get the test. So we still got to move, put your trend line in. I'm not sure if Bitcoin is going to get.
I'm not talking to Sheldon anymore. He's charting on TradingView. I'm not talking to him anymore. He's charting on, he was charting. I saw him charting on TradingView.
Look, no, it was like this the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Did you see? So Bitcoin, obviously, like I was saying, that pullback, keep that trend in mind. And obviously we need to make sure your long-term portfolio is filled with these good fundamentals, because they're going to pop at any point. And then it's very tough to get in.
All right, let's get on with the show. Sheldina, I'll speak to you in a bit. There is some great news, but I do want to touch on a story that's really close to my heart and one that I'm very baffled about, and that is Fluffy Pony, Riccardo Spagni, the lead creator of Monero, has been arrested. I mean, believe it or not. Let's see if I've got the story here. Here we go. So the story goes, Monero's former maintainer arrested in the US for allegations unrelated to cryptocurrencies. Fluffy Pony was in his private jet on the way to Satoshi Roundtable in Los Cabos in Mexico when he was apprehended in Nashville during a refueling stop. And the irony is here that he was arrested for a crime that he allegedly committed between 2009 and 2011, which was completely unrelated to crypto. The more bizarre thing about this case is that the crime was committed in South Africa, and he was arrested and are now seeking extradition from the United States for a $70,000 fraud claim that was committed 10 years ago. Now, the strange thing for me is that I know Fluffy Pony very well. We've done many deals together. I know him personally. We've spent time together. I've been at his house. Great guy with all the means in the world. And he's not the type of guy that I think would have committed any kind of fraud. Also, if you think about South African law, it's not like he murdered someone or he committed a huge crime. They're talking about potentially and allegedly, if this thing is right, they're talking about committing, as an employee of Cape Cookies, Spugny intercepted invoices from another company, NSYNC, relating to information technology goods and services it had supplied. Spugny knowingly used false information to fabricate similar invoices purporting to be from NSYNC, relying on details including his company's VAT, value-added tax number, and bank account information. Spugny then inflated prices for goods and services. Those are the charges allegedly against him. Now, hardly a charge for someone hardly a charge that requires you to be arrested while refueling your own jet in the United States and then look to extradite you on those charges. I think there's something way deeper than this. And if I remember correctly, let me quickly check, but if I remember correctly, his wife, Saskia, which responded this morning on Twitter on his behalf. So let's quickly just look at, Saskia Spugny is her name. Here we go. What he says is as follows. He says, "Thank you to everyone for your kind messages in this matter. A message from Fluffy Pony. Unfortunately, due to a misunderstanding with regards to settling of court dates in an old matter, which I have continuously been trying to resolve since 2011, I have been held in contempt of court and currently waiting extradition. I'm hoping to resolve this misunderstanding within a short while. In the meantime, my partners will continue to run my affairs. In the meantime, my business affairs will continue under the leadership of my partners." So that is the statement from Fluffy Pony. And I mean, again, it just sounds absolutely bizarre to me that they are extraditing him on a $70,000 potential fraud. I mean, people don't get extradited for murder. And they're talking about extraditing someone for a fraud from 10 years ago. I also know that Fluffy Pony was living in South Africa pretty freely for a long time. They had 10 years to do this. Why go after him while he's in the US? It just doesn't smell right. There's so much fraud in South Africa. I mean, it just sounds... There is a statement here from his counsel. For those of you who want to go read it, it's on the Dropbox. To whom it may concern, the current arrest and detention of Mr. Spugny, and you can go and read it, but it's all about exactly what he said. So let's keep an eye on that one, and we will keep an eye on that one, and we'll maybe even try and get hold of Saskia and just maybe chat to her, maybe get her on the show so she can tell us exactly what's going on. Right. Cool. All right, let's look at Bitcoin and the price action on Bitcoin. So we did see a pullback, and the pullback has taken us back to about 38,000. And some people are calling for 36,000, 36,500. No big surprise. We did have 10 positive days on Bitcoin in a row. And after 10 positive days of Bitcoin in a row, when you go from 29,000 to 41 or 42,000, you can expect a healthy pullback. And that's exactly what we're seeing. There's no panic. The fear and greed index remains neutral, which means people aren't panicking. Nobody's scared. And it's just a healthy correction. And if you look at the on-chain metrics, there are a whole lot of other clues that we may be much closer to a 2013 type bull market. And I want to show you again what happened in 2013. So in 2013, let me go all the way back to 2013. Wow, 2013 was a long time ago, hey, Fred? Go. All right, so that's 2013, and you can see that we had this massive spike in the market. We had this dip. We had 98 days of a downward trending market, and then the market exploded, and that's exactly what we're seeing now. In fact, it's so uncanny that the dips even came around the same time. The dips came around, we dipped in April or May, and the dips in 2013 also came in April. Our dip lasted, or this recent dip lasted 91 days, and the dip in April or May lasted 98 days. So very, very, very close. 97 days. So we are seeing a lot of signs on the technicals, and I am looking at TradingView. Oh, goodness. We are seeing a lot of signs on the technicals that we are looking at a 2013 type recovery. I see Sheldon laughing in the background. But there is more interesting data actually on-chain. And if you look at the on-chain data, the first thing that you can see is that the stock-to-flow deflection has really, really, really recovered. If you look over there, I'm actually going to zoom up for you guys a little bit. You can see that the stock-to-flow deflection has really, really, really recovered in the last couple of days. In fact, so much so that William Clemente says, historically speaking, following each touch of this lower stock-to-flow deflection trend line, Bitcoin has gone on an absolute tear. So he's taken the deviation from the stock-to-flow model, which we've spoken about so many times, and he's looked at historically what's happened every time that the stock-to-flow model deflection has jumped off the trend line. And we can see that it happened in 2012, and then we had a huge parabolic run. It happened again in 2015, and then we had a huge parabolic run. Happened again in 2017, and we had a huge parabolic run. And now it's just happened again. So from an on-chain data, it looks amazing. There's more data on-chain. More data on-chain shows that the exchange net position, in other words, the 30-day change in supply that exchanges are holding of coins. In other words, how many coins, or what is the net movement in the last 30 days on exchanges? And you can see that in the last 30 days, so many coins have been taken off exchanges and put into wallets by big whales. And they've been put into wallets that are known not to sell coins. So those coins are now gone pretty much forever. And that's what's happened in the last 30 days. That's the interesting stuff. That's the boring stuff. Let's talk about the interesting stuff. The interesting stuff is around whales who have been purchasing Bitcoin, but they've been doing it away from the exchanges. They have been doing it through what they call OTC, over-the-counter markets. And that is when you go to an OTC provider, a provider that deals in Bitcoin, and you do a transaction on Bitcoin, or you buy Bitcoin without buying them through exchanges. And the reason why you do that is because you don't want people to know that you are buying so many Bitcoin, because people know the exchange accounts. And that's what people look at every single day. But not everyone looks at the OTC data, except for the founder of CryptoQuant, and his name is Ki Young-ju. He must be Korean, because every Korean is Jew. And listen to what he says. He says, someone is buying Bitcoin a lot. 99% of the transactions are happening outside of crypto exchanges, possibly OTC deals. If big names announce they're buying, bears could be in big trouble. I'm not sure about short-term price movement though. So let's zoom in on this chart. What you can see is that on this chart, there has been an unprecedented spike in tokens transferred. In other words, movement on chain. But the movement is not happening from exchanges, because the funds flow of exchanges is actually quite low, which means that the funds are flowing from accounts which are OTC accounts, or possibly OTC accounts. Let's carry on reading what he says. He says, $131 billion worth of Bitcoin, $131 billion worth of Bitcoin moved yesterday, but only 1% from exchanges in deposits and withdrawals. Okay, just think about the magnitude here. Let's look at the magnitude relative to normal days. So this chart over here on the left of the screen, the blue line shows the number of Bitcoins transferred. Look at that spike relative to any other month. But it's not coming off exchanges, and that's the blue line on the right, because the blue line on the right shows that the blue line on the right shows the all exchange funds flow ratio, which means that the funds flowed of exchanges relative to the total flow of funds is lower than it's ever been. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing a whale trying to hide their purchases. And these are no baby purchases. We're talking about a whale who is potentially moving a big percentage of $131 billion. Who can be that big? Google? Apple? It's 8 million Bitcoin. 8 million Bitcoin. That's more than MicroStrategy, more than Square, more than all of them have combined. Now, who could it be? Freddie, where are my birds? Put the Amazon bird back. Freddie took down my birds. Okay, so who could it be? Well, it could be one of those big companies. Let's carry on, because it does get a bit juicier. The only other time that we have seen anything similar to this, but it was on a much smaller scale, was in September 2020. And if you look at the charts in September 2020, and you can see this tweet is, in fact, here, stamped, 10th of September 2020. The same thing happened, but on a much smaller magnitude. So you can see that the tokens transferred on chain was very high, and the tokens transferred on exchanges was very low, which is a sign that the whales were buying and trying to keep their purchases completely off the chain. Sorry, completely off the exchanges. Now let's look and see what happened to Bitcoin just after the 10th of September. Let's go there. Now to go all the way back. Okay, so 10th of September 2020, we said, right? Okay, let's look at it. What happened? Okay, so 10th of September 2020 is here. There it is. What happened after that big purchase? In fact, it looks very similar. You had a huge spike, you had a dip, and then bang, you had a massive bull run. So it looks like the market's repeating itself. It looks like whales are buying huge amounts, and this time unprecedented amounts of Bitcoin. We've never seen anything like this. And they're doing this in the over-the-counter market off exchanges. And I speculate that the Amazon data or the Apple rumors maybe weren't that far off. And I think we may have killed this bird for nothing. I think that bird may have been slaughtered in vain, because who else could transact $50 billion worth of Bitcoin? Only big babies, only big baby Bezos. Jeffrey Bezos. Don't play that song. The last time you played that song, you got our video banned. All right, so that's what we're seeing on chain. It is the biggest transaction that we've ever seen, or the biggest flow on potential over the counter that we've ever seen. Before we get to Solana, there's a lot to talk about. Let's talk about the gaming tokens. So, you know, we've been talking a lot about these NFT gaming tokens, these big play to earn NFT gaming tokens. And we've spoken about Axie Infinity, we've spoken about Fairylands, we've spoken about Splinterlands, we've spoken about Sandbox, we've spoken about all of them. Well, yesterday, there was a mysterious decline in the tokens, and it happened very quickly. Let's have a look at some of them that were affected. Okay, so the first one that was affected was Fairyland, and it went down quite a bit. It's recovered quite a bit. You can see in the charts that it went quite far down and it recovered quite a bit. And then we saw the same thing happen to Splinterlands. Splinterland had exactly the same thing. Still down 23.2%. So we did some research and we wanted to find out what it was that caused the games to all go down at the same time. It just didn't feel right that the market had come down so little, but the games had come down so much. And here's what we found out.
When they
Do you have that
called
video?
Video games opium of the mind, as well as electronic drugs for kids, which then triggered a sell-off in Tencent as well as other gaming stocks. That particular journal also had singled out Tencent, which derives about a third of its revenue from gaming and has a very popular title called Honor of the Kings. But now, because of this much softer tone, it's really raising expectations here that Beijing is really trying to send a message that it's sensitive about the fact that this is having an impact on investors.
So bottom line is Beijing, China, is on the warpath with technology companies. They banned WeChat just a few days ago. They've banned a whole lot of other tech companies. But now they are targeting games. Chinese media calls online gaming spiritual opium, and Tencent was a victim. And yeah, it actually sounds like to me that they are going after Tencent. They don't like the fact that Tencent is not government owned and that they own WeChat, they own games, and they got all these kids addicted. Exactly. Put your headphones on so we can chat, bro. Okay, so I want to read you this because this is the interesting part. Let me zoom in because this is really, really, really interesting. And I'll show you in a second why I think it's so interesting. It repeatedly cited Tencent's flagship game, Honor of Kings, saying it was the most popular online game played by students, sometimes for up to 8 hours a day. Does that sound familiar? Doesn't that remind you of the NFT gaming buzz that we're seeing at the moment? And they say the following: no industry, no sport can be allowed to develop in such a way that it will destroy a generation. This is how they are referring to online gaming. They're saying no industry or sport could be allowed to develop in such a way that it will destroy a generation, which also linked online games to electronic drugs. This is what's happening in China. Let's get Freddie. Freddie, are you addicted to electronic drugs?
Bro, I'm addicted to spending thousands of dollars on JPEGs. That's my current addiction. Over.
Cleared for takeoff.
No, but really, in all seriousness, I think the Chinese government's had it out for Tencent over the last 6 months. It's pretty clear they've done it with WeChat, and I don't think they're going to be stopping anytime soon, to be honest.
Yes, and you know who else said this? You know who else said? He said exactly this. Do you remember who said this? Right here on our show. You remember this? The man is right. Listen to what he said.
If you could turn that into an economy where they could actually earn NFTs or something, they would probably love that, even if they don't even know what they're worth. It doesn't matter to them. So I think that's how we slowly push into that.
I think turning kids into degenerate gamblers is a terrible, horrible, disgusting idea. I think that addicting,
it's just like they earn something in the games, and they can get something for it.
I think that human beings have a consciousness economy that's already being abused by all media, all marketing, all surveillance capitalism, all got you capitalism. You barely have any attention span left. They've beaten it out of you by addicting you to likes and hitting F5 and doom scrolling all day long. And the concept that you're now going to add slot machine, loot drop, slave like a Chinese gold farm, and wow, you're going to turn everyone's kids into Chinese gold farmers now? It's disgusting.
Well, disgusting, and he seems to have the same view as the Chinese government. What an irony that he came on the show and said exactly that on our show. Get him back on the show. Get him back on the show because he raised $2 billion for Pulse Chain. We'll be covering that in Microdose later today. Okay, let's quickly check the likes, see if we can give away an alien. Because I want to give away an alien. Raj has got to give away the alien, but he can't do it before we get 5,000 likes. We have 2,000 likes. Do we have to slaughter another alien? Do we have to slaughter another NFT? Is that what it's come down to?
Let's push up the likes from 3 to
3,500. 3,500 likes, and we give away the alien. Okay, before we talk about Solana, I want to just talk about one other thing which has been on my mind a lot. It's called Luna. How many of you have heard of Luna? The same Luna that Quadruple Your Money Man ran has told you to buy since November at 35 cents. Well, that Luna is absolutely on a tear. I don't know if you guys have been watching it. It's up again, another 16.8% today. Fred, I told you at 35 cents, you buy Luna, you stake it on Terra Station, you earn 7-point-something% per annum, and you get airdrops in Anchor Protocol, in Mirror Protocol, in Pylon Protocol, in Orion Protocol. It's like free money.
I tried to quick flip it from 980 to 10.
You don't flip Luna. You don't flip Luna, bro. And it's not only me that's noticing it. I see that other people on Twitter are starting to notice it. This is a thread from Nicholas Flamel. I'll follow him now because he likes the same token that I like. I believe Luna will start the beginning of a multi-month, almost parabolic run, regardless of what happens to Bitcoin. You know what upsets me? I told the community at 35 cents. I told them again recently at $5. I said, if you believe in a protocol and you have conviction, when the protocol goes down, you are happy. You buy it. I said it. I wish You guys need to listen to me more. Anyway, you can see that he goes on about this whole thing about what Terra does, and it's a stable coin, and it's a stable coin economy that is being built on this protocol, and they're currently building more applications that will work on the stablecoin. The exciting thing here is not the stablecoin. It is the brain power of the people that are developing around it and the VC money that is flowing into the brain power that is developing stuff on the network. And I haven't seen this in many protocols. In fact, there are 5 or 6 protocols where I'm seeing an inflow of brains, an inflow of money, and an amazing, vibrant ecosystem that's even more vibrant than the Ethereum was when Ethereum built their magic. And you can see, I want to just show you what he says. Blah, blah, blah. He does talk a lot. He talks a hell of a lot. Okay, so these are the metrics. Now you're probably starting to understand why many of us fell in love with Luna. Yes, we fell in love with Luna in 2017. These are the metrics you want to look at. The daily transaction volume, and remember, this is in stablecoin, is $1.5 billion per day. You earn 6.25% on your staking. There are 2.8 million active Luna accounts. That includes the accounts in the Chai app, or Chia app, Chia, whatever it's called. Chia app. You cannot be ignoring Luna. In fact, you cannot be ignoring any ecosystem where there are smart people developing amazing, amazing things, backed by VCs on such uptake. And I said it to you guys before, I only really see this on 5 or 6 protocols where I'm seeing the brain power, the money power, and therefore the price stability and migration. And with these protocols, every single time the price goes down, we buy. We're happy. Every single time the price goes up, we are sad because we haven't bought enough. You get that paradigm, Freddie. When it goes down, we are happy, so you can buy more. When it goes up, we are unhappy because we can't buy more. And because we know that in the future they're going to succeed, we want the price to be as far down as possible. Now, you know what my favorites are. Luna, Arweave, Thorchain, Cardano or DOT. I'm undecided between Cardano and DOT. Maybe both. Maybe both. And then the last one for me is the one which hurts me the most. I'll tell you why it hurts me the most. I'll tell you why. I was offered to invest in Solana at the ICO, or the pre-sale, or whatever you call it, in 2018 or 19 or whenever it was. My friend Vinny Lingham arranged a call for me with the founders of Solana. They told me about this amazing tech they're building. And because of the market being so bearish, and because I couldn't see the light of when the market was going to recover, I declined it. And it was one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made. Because you guys saw what happened then. In 2021, I started to ape into Solana live on the show. I started buying Solana at $42. I bought it back at $25, at $31. And today I'm sitting on a big, big, big bag of Solana. And this is another one of these amazing, amazing gems where a lot of good things are happening. So for one, they have one of the most active developer ecosystems out there. And I want to show you the statistics. Let's quickly look at the stats. So, no, that's the next slide. So this is a chart that shows that the activity in the developer ecosystem. And you can see that Solana ranks number 2 in this chart. You can also see how vibrant the Solana chart is, the Solana ecosystem is. This is a snapshot of what's happening on Solana. So I thought, look, I want to get one of the founders of Solana to come onto our show and let's hear it from the horse's mouth as to what's going on at Solana. And that's why we've got Raj with us. Raj, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Ran. How are you?
I want to beat myself up. I don't remember if I spoke to you or Anatoly, but I spoke to one of you in 2018 or 2019, or maybe even both of you. And I remember that I didn't invest even after my good friend Vinny Lingham said, you have to get into Solana.
Yeah, I get that a lot. like every day, there's always somebody that is kicking themselves and saying, why didn't you convince me harder? We tried, you know? But back then there was blood in the streets, right? And I think the last thing anybody thought was necessary was another layer 1. I think we heard that, probably 1,000 times. Why does anybody need a faster layer 1, another layer 1? Nobody's going to use, 50,000 transactions per second. to me, that always sounded like when my brother told me, I don't know how we're going to use 1 whole meg of memory, you know? We'll find a way. And I think the last year has definitely shown that the capacity can be used. And I don't blame you. 2018 was a different time. I can't hear you, actually.
Before we get into Solana, can we talk about the important stuff?
Sure.
What is that bicycle in the back? Are you a cyclist? Are you? I see a very active person. I see a bicycle. I see weights. Maybe walk us through your training regime.
Yeah, this is all a virtual background. Actually, I don't actually work out. No, no, the bike is me. I'm trying to keep up because one of the Anatoly always makes fun of me because I'm the only co-founder that hasn't done an Ironman. They've all done. I mean, do you know what the Ironman is?
Yeah, I've done a half Ironman. I've never managed a full one, but I have done a half one. It was quite fun, but I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't rush.
Yeah. I can't swim for my life, so I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do it. But the bike is just trying to train for the cycling portion at least.
Are you going to do a half or a full Ironman?
Someday I'll do a full one. This is my public commitment. That'll force me to do it.
Okay. So let's talk about the important things. You said at the time, everyone said, why would we need another layer 1? I mean, I think it was pretty obvious, but now the market's come a long way. So you've got ETH 2.0, you've got Cardano, which promises to launch its smart contracts pretty soon. What is the thesis for a Solana type layer 1? What is the thesis? Why do we need Solana?
Yeah. So I think the question, like the experiment behind Solana that, really was Anatoly. I think you've maybe had him on the show or you should in the future, but he's the, Vitalik gigabrain that came up with this entire architecture. And the question that he asked was, what would an architecture look like to make the transaction cost and the throughput and the latency of a network bound only by the hardware and the network bandwidth that nodes supporting the network had. How would you architect a system such that as hardware improves over time, which we have seen through our whole lives, we've seen Moore's law and Nielsen's law. So hardware generally doubles in power and the number of cores per dollar every 2 years, and network bandwidth generally doubles every couple of years as well. So, the question was, how do you bring the cost of transactions down to just the cost of bare metal and network bandwidth cost to run the network? And how do you make it continually improve as those two variables improve? And yeah, I mean, what it took was building it from the ground up and having a source of time before consensus. And that's what proof of history is. And basically for 2 years it was just building that network and making sure that we could get it stable, and then over the last year and change, it's been basically throwing as much as we possibly could at it. So payments and decentralized exchanges and music and and all kinds of DeFi and gaming. And now I think yesterday I looked at it and it was just running at I think around 2,500 transactions per second. And it's humming along. I think what we expect is that we've benchmarked it to 50,000. Over the next several years, as hardware and network bandwidth improves, it'll just keep improving, and we'll keep finding use cases as an industry to fill that bandwidth. And it'll all feel like the regular internet. That's kind of the thesis.
So Solana's benchmark Solana's advantage is definitely speed and cost of transactions. So I think it positions itself as the fastest blockchain. And also, not only is it fast, but the cost of transactions is like very, 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 very low. And that provides for a whole lot of new use cases that ordinarily blockchains aren't really useful for because of the transaction costs. So for those who don't know how you guys achieve the speed, I mean, you've created a decentralized clock, basically. That's the secret recipe, right?
Yeah, and it's not what I like to remind everyone, and I think what Anatoly was really smart about was it's not like a fundamental computer science breakthrough. It wasn't 10 years of a bunch of academics at Stanford figuring out some really intense cryptography problem. It was just, a really elegant solution for having time that everyone can agree on across a network where no one's supposed to trust each other. That was the question. And, Anatoly, he always says he had like two beers and a coffee or 2 coffees and a beer. I forget which it is. But, he was up till 4 a.m. and he just came up with this thing, proof of history, which is using a SHA-256 hash function, which most hardware is highly optimized for. Everyone has cores that are optimized for running SHA-256 hash functions, and it's just looping itself, looping over itself. And every recursive cycle of that function looping over itself represents, passage of time that can't be replicated without, doing that process. So one way to think about it is every cycle is like, I think of it this way, like a grain of sand in an hourglass, and basically everyone in the network running that function has hourglasses that are all synced. And the reason that's important.
Yeah, the reason why that's such a big breakthrough is because if you think about what takes the time in block approval on a blockchain, it is the fact that all the validators need to know which was the first block, or which was the first transaction, which was the next transaction. And half the time, all they're trying to agree on is time, what happened first and what happened next. But by building in this clock functionality, you can now agree without having to get consensus on the time. And that speeds up the transactions by a multiple.
Yeah, it's so Anatoly always described it as, applying a principle that we've known all the way back to like radio towers and cell towers all work this way. Like if you've ever been in a stadium with 30,000 people and everyone's able to use the internet, use their cell phones at the same time, but there's only 2 towers near you. It's like, how does that happen, right? It's because all the way back to radio towers, they realized that, if you're transmitting over the same bandwidth at the same frequency, there's noise. So they gave each tower a clock, and then they alternate, over time. And the more synchronized you have time across a distributed system, the more you can alternate, the more the bandwidth is. So that's basically what proof of history allows for a blockchain. Everyone can produce blocks in parallel and coordinate, over time, because they have a source of time that they can all agree on. And that was never possible before. So I think in the Bitcoin white paper, one of the first things they say is we don't make strong assumptions about time. It's because consensus has to be achieved, and everyone in the network has to talk before anyone has a sense of what time it is for the network. In Solana, it's the opposite. Time is known before consensus.
Okay, so Solana has spoken about TPS, or transactions per second, as high as 70,000. I've read in some papers. Right now, you're saying you're doing 2,500 transactions per second. And just to put some perspective, Ethereum is doing about 15 transactions per second, right?
Yeah, I think that's around what Ethereum has always been benchmarked at. And for Solana, it's kind of complicated because, are you asking about the average or the max, the peak during a benchmark? But around like 50 to 65,000 is what we've benchmarked it at. And that was at the beginning of the network, and 65,000 is, I think, peak capacity of Visa globally. So that was good enough. Like we asked ourselves in the early days, like what number do we need to benchmark to kind of prove that the network is meaningfully different and differentiated on performance, and that was enough. But I don't know when we do another benchmark, or when we see actual usage of the network get up to that level. But I suspect the next time you'll see a meaningful benchmark is when we just have so many applications and transactions running that it just blows through that number.
What happened earlier this year? Because if I look at Solana was a $1 token until, I don't know, $1 or $2 token right through the whole of up to $4 right through the whole of 2020. And then all of a sudden something happened, and I don't really need you to comment specifically about price because you're not a price man, but you can see that there was a huge change in impetus around about January, which has taken the Solana token from a $3 token all the way up to about $50 at one point. What was the switch that went off sometime in the beginning of this year that got the market so interested in Solana?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, without really commenting on how it affects price or what happened with the price, I think the awareness definitely shot up, around January, and that was about 9 months after mainnet went live. I think the first 6. So it's really important. I think we've seen this in network and protocol after network and protocol. You have to see it live, global, with real usage, adoption, in the wild, growing, and getting more and more battle tested to really know, how is this network going to perform. I think, without naming names, there's a lot of protocols that 6 months, 9 months, 12 months after launch, we find something that happens. Critical flaws, exploits, just market dynamics that didn't quite play out. And I think for a layer 1 network, it's really important to see smart contracts live, staking and inflation enabled, and full functionality on mainnet, globally distributed, with a really large and growing set of nodes. And I think through that time, from March of last year to January of this year, the network got into the hundreds of nodes. So I think that question of is this just a not decentralized network? Is it only fast because there's only a couple nodes or a couple dozen nodes? That question kind of went away very quickly. Today we're at, I think, over 900 nodes on testnet. It's over 2,000, and it's still performing exactly the same way. So that question of is there a major sacrifice in decentralization, I think, has kind of gone away. There's a question of
it is a very decentralized network. It is very fast, it is very secure, and it is very cheap. So you have ticked all the boxes. The other boxes that I always look at is who's behind it from a funding point of view, and not specifically around who's funding the network, but who's funding the ecosystem around the network, and of which you guys have managed to build in a very short period of time a huge, bustling ecosystem of people building here, whether it's wallets or exchanges or applications or games. Solana really is taking off. And I think it's no wonder, because you do have backers such as Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX, who's publicly said on the show that he's all in on Solana. You've got Multicoin Capital, who basically invest in anything Solana related, and always make contact whenever they hear there's something that's promising that's not on Solana and want to migrate it to Solana. You've got Andreessen Horowitz also pushing for Solana. Is that what's been driving the growth here, that you've got all this massive capital outside of the ecosystem that is developing the ecosystem?
I think it's the opposite. The goal for me is it's supposed to be the opposite, right? The money should be attracted to quality of teams and products that are getting built, and the fact that developers are flocking, and they're flocking for the right reasons. And I think that's the reason that those investors have been interested. I think Sam and Multicoin probably saw it a little bit ahead of time, where they were willing to make that bet in a smaller way. And then as it's played out, they've come in harder and more aggressive. And A16Z and Polychain, as an example, and there's a bunch of others investing in the ecosystem that weren't 3 months ago or 6 months ago. They're all a little late, but they still get that the ecosystem is very early, and they're really interested because developers are coming for the right reasons. They're coming for the performance. They need it. They feel that their users need it. They're willing to kind of eat glass and push through a lot of the friction, like learning Rust. Solana will support EVM and Solidity very soon, but up till now, you have to learn this hard language of Rust.
So we did read about a protocol that's developed an EVM compatibility module that launches in Q3.
Yeah, it's called Neon. I think there will probably be multiple EVMs launched for Solana. It's community driven. So there's a team that I think we know some of the team members now, but they've been working kind of behind the scenes on launching, an Ethereum virtual machine that basically executes as a smart contract on Solana. So anyone can port Ethereum apps. They can, if they only know Solidity, which we met plenty of people that I think are just so dialed into their work, they don't have time to learn a new language. They can go and build an app using Solidity on Solana, and it'll still be composable with, with natively built Solana apps. And it's still, I think like 1,000 times more, high throughput and low latency than Ethereum. So I think something like 10,000 transactions per second is what we expect. That it's a little slower because EVM and Solidity are just not built for performance. But again, it's still very performant, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see that play out. I expect to see a pretty big explosion of apps ported over, and maybe folks port over using Solidity and then rewrite using Rust. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. I know you can't talk about which kids you love the most on the network, but I do know that there are some amazing dApps that have been built on Solana that can only be built on a network that has high throughput, smart contract capabilities, and low transaction fees. I mean, are there any that really stick out for you? For me, Serum, which is a DEX, which provides you with an order book or a central exchange type experience, is amazing for me. And you can only do that because the transaction fees are so small and because the throughput is so fast. What else? What else do you like? Have you got your eye on in the ecosystem? You must have one or two kids that you like more than all the rest.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I like is growth, right? I like to see traction, and I like to see users that are really happy. And I know that right now there's explosive growth and traction and happy users with Saber. It's simple. It's yield farming and stablecoin swapping. It's kind of like Curve, built on Solana, but the team is just moving really fast. They're shipping, and the TVL is just shooting up. So I think in the last 14 days or so, it went up to like 180 million in TVL. So
wow.
For a second there, it was the second highest by TVL. And I think anyone who played with the app used Phantom. Phantom is now kind of they have equally good feedback. Everyone I send to use Phantom, which is kind of like MetaMask, but designed for the future. Really slick wallet. Use Phantom, go use Saber, and it's like 100% of people are really happy, and they feel like this is how it was supposed to be built, how it's supposed to feel: snappy, fast, cheap, intuitive, and so everyone who had used the products knew that it was going to grow pretty quickly, and it has. You can check out like DeFi Llama to see the TBL. That's what I've been refreshing every morning.
Fantastic. We will definitely check that out. Raj, listen, it's been amazing having you on Crypto Banter. We are big fans. We've been speaking about Solana for months. I even aped into Solana live on the show. I wanted to do a big order, but my community front ran me. As soon as they heard I was buying Solana, they started buying. They pushed the price up. So I don't do that anymore. All right. So as a guest of honor on our show, you get to choose the winning comment, which wins an alien. Which alien are we giving away, Freddie? Let's decide. Let's give away George. We don't need George. Let's give away George. So we're going to give away alien number 6725, which is actually George. That's the Asian alien. And we're going to give it to, call up some comments, Freddie, so Raj can make a choice. The best Solana comment wins. The best Solana comment wins alien number 6725, George. Yeah, but Raj does have better things to do than sit here and wait for you to call up your He doesn't look impressed. The judges don't look impressed at all.
I like the lion avatar. That's pretty cool.
Come on, Freddie. Is that the best you can give us, Freddie?
Let's go with the lion.
Okay, he's going to go with the lion. Go back with the lion. Go back to the lion. If you can find it. The line's gone.
Okay, Soul Summer Baby.
Soul Summer Baby. Dawood Maku, you win. Lonely Alien George, number 6725 NFT. We'll get hold of you, or you'll get hold of us and give us your address and we'll send it to you. Raj, good luck for the Iron Man. Good luck for building an ecosystem. Thank you for coming in Crypto Banter. You're part of the family now. You're welcome back here anytime. And we'll chat to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Take care.
Cool, my friend. Be well. Yeah, everyone's got that like token that they, like the one that got away, the one that like, how did I not buy this thing at $1? Well, that's Solana for me. We will see you again later. Remember, Sheldon's show tomorrow starts 1 hour earlier. Repeat after me. Sheldon, what time does your show start tomorrow?
1 hour earlier.
What time does that mean you have to get out of bed?
Charting on CoinPanel.
What time does that mean you have to get out of bed?
1 hour earlier.
Good. What time does that mean that you have your last drink tonight?
1 hour earlier.
1 hour earlier. Fantastic. So we'll see you tomorrow charting on CoinPanel. 1 hour earlier.
The chart should be amazing tomorrow, so I'm excited.
I'm also excited. But it'll be 1 hour earlier. So
1 hour earlier.
AM EST, which is actually 1 hour earlier. This show stays the same. And if you want to know about microdose, subscribe to the channel, hit the thing that says notifications, which is the bell button, and then hit all notifications. See you later, friends. Oh, yes. Wait. Stop. If you enjoyed the show, use the After Banter hashtag to discuss it across all social media platforms so we can keep track of what's going on. Love you guys madly. Bye.